APQP not performing. It could be you are looking at the task all wrong. Tasks are the smallest building blocks of the APQP framework and are eventually stacked together to describe phases. However, most practitioners think about this incorrectly and look at each task in isolation as a standalone product. This leads them to rush around at the last minute and race to get something complete. But because they do not understand the interdependency of the tasks, the effectiveness of the activity is rarely up to par. This habit of looking at tasks in isolation leads to ineffective gates and projects that do not deliver on the levels quoted to the customer. The APQP process is a well-orchestrated, well-thought-out series of interdependent tasks, each one building on the other. To explain this, let's look at an example of the interdependencies of tasks through various phases of a PQP. Our example begins with the preliminary process flow. Phase 1. In this phase for this task, we have the basic building blocks of the process. The preliminary process flow describes what touches what and the series of process steps as explained to the customer in quotation. This preliminary process flow is then utilized in Phase 2 for the new equipment, tooling, and facilities requirements. The way we need to think about it is the new equipment, tooling, and facilities requirements utilize the information from the preliminary process flow in order to refine the flow in Phase 2. Phase 3. Where the mature process flow is developed. This mature process flow utilizes the new equipment, tooling, and facilities requirements to finalize the actual flow based on the equipment purchased and the facility infrastructure that is consumed. If a practitioner just focused on the product without having high-quality requirements, then the result could be an ineffective process flow that does not match reality. As an APQP practitioner, it is essential to ask yourself, what goes ahead of this task? What are the prerequisites that assemble this task? And failing to ask these questions will inevitably lead to poor performing programs. PFMEAD begins with the preliminary process and product characteristics from Phase 1 leading into Phase 2. In Phase 2, there are several inputs like the new gauges and testing requirements, which adds in prevention and detection elements, and the new equipment, tooling, and facilities. So, in summary, looking at tasks in isolation leads to poor performance of projects and failed gateways, and as a practitioner, you always want to be asking yourself, what is the interdependencies for the tasks I'm undertaking? And this will allow you to put high-quality outputs into the task at hand. Learn more at plexusintl.com.